Well, good evening. You're very welcome to Inside Line Racing for round number 14 of ILR6 here at the Italian Grand Prix. And as you can see, a great start for Maurice Minor. He's found himself in the wall coming out of the Lesmos. My name is Graham. I'm going to do my best to help bring you the action from one of F1's most iconic venues, Monza, the Temple of Speed. And, well, go too fast as Maurice Minor found, and you will certainly be in a difficult position to start. Full 20 drivers on the grid, so that's what we like to see. A nice full grid, and hopefully they can give us a fantastic showing. A bit better hopefully than the outing in in Belgium last time out. So we'll see what happens. Antatak meanwhile sets in the fastest lap of qualifying so far, only to be displaced by Bill, 20.7. So a lot of guys going for the ultra soft, so I'm beginning to think that there could be a wet race on our hands. But let's see. Laps be coming in thick and fast, so I apologize if I missed something while we kind of take care of housekeeping as it were. So we'll do the table right now. So nothing really changed last time out for the championship, given the what went down. So it is still Danskar leading the way at 141 points. His teammate Plays just pops into fourth there. He's leading on 141 points, just 10 points ahead of Antatak in second. Third place is Alex on 91 points, Mr. Crumpet fourth on 64, and then Baza on 59. And in the constructors, it is Haas leading the way, 246 points they are, a good bit in front. We have the McLaren boys in second, 178, and then 155 in third place are the Force Indias. So Monza, it is a difficult track for a few reasons. Well, I say difficult, it's difficult for something that looks very straightforward, because there are a few areas of the track where things do get away from you. If you go on board with Apex Whiteout as he comes across the Lesmo, the first Lesmo not too bad, the second one, this one, can certainly if you get your too angsty on that throttle, you can certainly lose it. And we'll stick with Apex as he heads up towards Ascari, a difficult place as well. If you don't cut the corner there, your exit here, if you get too much on that curb, it can unsettle the car and you can easily end up into the wall. So its attrition rate around this track can be quite high, given that, again, you would think very straightforward track. There's basically only a few corners, and it's basically full throttle for a lot of the lap, the majority of the lap for that matter. Let's see if anything changes there. Apex White moves up to third place there. Pro Opa, I see a lot of jostling for position. Again, a lot of people on super softs. I did think possibly we might see one or two on softs, and we do have a few on mediums, to be fair. Plays is the only one seemingly on a set, as Philip again goes fastest, 20.5 for Philip in the Renault on 3-lap old supers. Don't want to be taking those too far. Oh dear, there's a second Philip in the Renault, one of the reserves, I believe. Oh dear. We'll figure out how we'll handle that later. Jack Gooding is here as well in the Sauber. Again, he's also a reserve, and a nice helmet to match that nice white Sauber, and he's coming down towards Parabolica now, and it's just backing out, it seems. So here is Baza, and Baza on mediums, one of the few drivers on mediums, moves up to 14th. 11 seconds remaining in the session. Again, apologies if I missed something. There's a lot of cars on the track, and it's not the longest track in the world, so a bit of a difficult exit for Howitzer, and he's got a Mercedes behind him. I think that is Whiteout, and Pro Opa is out of the session. Has he, if you could pick up a car, yes, here we go. So where did he lose it? I'm assuming he lost it coming out. There he is. So got the car unsettled. I'm sure the back end, try to step out, try to correct it, and there you go, you end up into the wall. Again, this track can be difficult despite its appearance, and so if you don't give it the proper respect, well, it will certainly bite you. As here's Danskar then, and he goes all the way to the top, 20.3 for Danskar in that McLaren. Again, third lap of these tyres, so a lot of these guys taking their laps as the tyres a long way in qualifying, where you don't want to be doing a ton of running on those supers in qualifying, you don't want to take them too far. You want to save them for the race as much as you can. This is one of the few races where you can do the supers, or sorry, they use the softest compound tyre and go on to the hardest, and it's fine. Like the softest tyre isn't dying in the first 5 laps. So this is one of the exceptions to that, and you can do it. So again, that's part of the reason why you'd see a lot of people on the supers. It is a track where you can do that strategy. Still, I would have thought we would have seen a few more drivers on softs, given there is an advantage to be had. Not a massive advantage compared to other tracks like, say, Hungary or China or Baku, say, places like that. But I thought we might see a few more, so it could still be a weather element. And if I checked my phone, I would probably probably know if there is any weather. But we'll find out in due course. Just under 9 ticks remaining in qualifying. It is Dan's car leading the way. Bill is to call himself all wrong to Ascari, and that will be that lap scuppered, if indeed he was on one. A lot of people into the pits. Sir Lane coming across the line on mediums. 22.1 for Sir Lane on those mediums. So I think he's a little dark horse in this qualifying session. Tank slapper heading out of turn 1. You don't want to get too caught up on those curbs if you can avoid it. And he got his car on in all sorts of in twitches, and that would be his lap surely, on the back foot basically as it begins. It's got a couple of cars. There's Alex there in 6th, or in 8th rather I should say. Can he move up? Daziak here behind him as well, and no lap times yet for Daziak as Jack pulls into the pits. Mr. Crumpet rounding Parabolica. Scuderia's hometown, of course, and he's still in 15th. His teammate just ahead of him on an out lap. Sir Lane continuing on his lap. There's a yellow flag somewhere, and that will be why, because Fernandez is having a trip through the polystyrene on his way through Ascari. So despite the troubles at the beginning of his lap on these mediums and a very wide exit there, Parabolica, will Sir Lane, he will pit. So in he comes then. Jacko then in the prancing horse will carry on. I think he's just beginning his lap now. Who else is around? Ant is back on the track. I think he's on the lap too. 60 yellow flags heading down this back straight. There's a car going slowly. Just get out of the way. That is Fernandez. He's been trundling back. I wonder if he's out of fuel, to be fair. There's quite a number of cars actually heading down that straight now, but out of Parabolica does command. And he's going to complete this lap, it seems. What can he do? It is an improvement just, but it is only, it will keep him in 4th place apex. Right on those curbs. I think he's just beginning a lap himself. I think Plays could be on a lap though. Mr. Crumpet then jumps up to 10th on the softs. One of the few drivers running on the softs. There's Plays. He rounds the final corner. This could be decent, you know. That's a 20.4. He moves up to 2nd place along with his teammate. So McLaren's looking good here so far. 1-2 for them. But 6 minutes ago is a long time. People getting out of the way to the absolute extreme here. To the absolute extreme, and there is no need to do that to that polystyrene board. Speaking of Mr. Crumpet's teammate, Jacko then races across the line, goes up to 9th place. So Pro Opa, obviously not being able to set any more times, is just falling down the field, and both Ferraris looking to cause destruction, are they? Or following the imaginary boards that are no longer there. Let's see who's on a lap. I think Philip is on a lap, to be fair, so fresh set of supers for Philip. Let's see, round through the first Lesmo. I think that's where Morris lost it, to be fair, and to the 2nd. Bit of a twitch. And down this straight he goes towards Ascari. Tree shrouded. As he makes his way through, misses the apex slightly. You can recover from that. A bit of a twitch at the end there, Mr. Crumpet. Actually, Philip will pick up a nice little slipstream there. Not too much, but it's better than nothing. Better than what you would normally have. So, a little bit of an advantage had for Philip on this lap. What will it add up to? As he races towards, I think it's going to be a decent lap, to be fair. It is an improvement, and it's just a narrow improvement. He still remains in third, as the majority of drivers heading back towards the pits, if not in there. And Rob has picked up some damage somewhere, that left-hand side of that Red Bull. You can see, not what it should be. Is there anyone close to the end of the lap? Apex, I think, is the closest. There's a car in front of him, actually. See if you can pick up who that is. It is Sir Lane, but I think it is on an outlap. So we'll go back towards Apex, who's rounding Parabolica, because he's going to dive into the pits. So that's him done for now. Anyone to keep up with Sir Lane starting a lap of Rob, making his way back to the pits. The other Philip heading down towards Parabolic. He's in 18th place on the softs for now. Can he move up the grid somewhat? He's going to dive into the pits. So I think that will leave Sir Lane as the furthest car forward on a lap. Philip just getting close to the end of his. Will he come in? There is time to come back in and back out again if he pits, and he's going to carry on. So Philip saving up his ERS and going for another charge. Where is Sir Lane? Because Sir Lane is now on super softs, and I think he'll be making a right old chase for pole position here. Did he take a bit too much curb out of Ascari? If he didn't, then it was absolutely perfect. As now the Ferrari of Crumpet is out. He's in 11th place on the softs, but won't be going any higher than that. Sir Lane, meanwhile, you'd imagine will be able to go a lot higher than this. He rounds Parabolica. Was he rounded that too much? As he bears down on the finish line. It is provisional pole position, 20.2 for Sir Lane. So he nailed Ascari, and I'm sure he gained a whole bunch of time as a result. Oh, there is Philip. He's lost it at the same place Morris Minor lost it, except luckily for him, he's got his own 4 wheels left on the car, and that's going to do it in qualifying for Philip. He's not going to be able to improve on this time, so that's a big disappointment for Philip, as they're all beginning to finally get out on track as we tick down towards 2 minutes remaining in the session. Cars becoming thick and fast across the line. Daziak just starting a lap, try to pick up someone who's actually on a lap, as Philip and Rob, I think he's had to back out of that one. Not sure if that's a block. Has Sir Lane gone for a second run? We'll find out in a sec. Dan's car having pulled over to the right hand side. It is just, the traffic is just incredible on the track, as you'd imagine. Not the longest track in the world, and that is the result, is just absolute mayhem. Here is Sir Lane though, rounding the final corner. Can he improve on his 20.2? I think he's going to. It's going to be tight. He does. 20 flat for Sir Lane. He is the first man to dip into the 20 flats. Can anyone respond to that? They're getting ready for the run. Stan's car plays. Philip won't be playing any further part. He's out. Apex is on lap. Bill is on his out lap. Ant on his lap. Alex as well. Jacko, I think, beginning to round the corner for his, but he's got traffic in front of him. Baza is done. He's into the pits. Rob starting a lap now as well. They're coming in thick and fast. So I think the upshot is basically everyone's on lap now at this stage. Is Sir Lane going for another lap? Surely you wouldn't have the ERS to do 3 laps in a row. We'll find out. Dan's car starting his lap now. 30 seconds remaining. He's going to get one shot at this. One opportunity. As Apex rounds Ascari, I think, is he the furthest along? I think the checker flag will drop before he ends up crossing lines. I think he will be the first as he comes down towards Parabolic. As a Toro Rosso behind him. That is Sir Lane if he's on a lap, running extremely wide is Apex, and he gets off the throttle. Checkered flag is out. Where is Sir Lane? He's slowing down. Oh, Danscar's round. He won't be improving on his lap. See if we can find them as they come around. Here is Ant. Ant moves up to 4th place. So decent lap from Ant. We've got Alex round in the final corner now as well. Can he improve? He does. He's up to 7th place. Where is Plays? Plays is backed off. So I think is our shootout for pole position over. As Rob rounds the final corner, can he improve? 20.3, he cannot. Philip can't improve either, and I think the last one will be Khalifa, because Danskar, as we know, messed up his lap somewhere along the road. So it looks like our order is set, but can Khalifa gain a few more positions here as the checker flag drops? I think he will and all, you know. He moves up to 9th. 20.9, not a bad lap for Khalifa, and we just wait for Danskar then to cross the line, and that will conclude qualifying here at the Italian Grand Prix. So then, lots of mistakes late on there, and it is Sir Lane who is top of the bunch by a couple tenths, it must be said, over the rest of the pack, including the 2 McLarens. So Sir Lane, almost 4 tenths in the end ahead of Danskar. His teammate Plays in 3rd. Ant, good lap from Ant in 4th, just ahead of Philip in 5th. Apex 6th, Alex 7th, Bill in 8th. I thought there'd be a bit more from Bill, to be honest. Khalifa 9th, Howitzer 10th, Jacko 11th, Probe at 12th, Mr. Crumpet 13th, Baza 14th, Fernandez 15th, Jack Gooding in 16th, Daziek 17th, Rob 18th, Philip in 19th, and Morrison never got to set a time in 20th. Worth noting that no driver inside the top 10 was on the softs. Is that an indication that the weather is a factor here today? We'll find out. Any second now. No, a beautiful sunny day at Monza. So then, of course, as we mentioned earlier, you can take the supers and then the mediums will go to the end. Just the you can take the softs, you can just take the softs a bit longer than you can the supers, and there's a couple of laps. The difference is not much. You could pit lap 9 for the supers, and the mediums will go to the end of the race, and the softs you want to take to lap 11 or so, and then the mediums will go to the end. So its difference is not that great. As Pro Up unfortunately lagged out there, so he's not getting even a chance to start this one as they begin their formation lap. Let's just check then. So lots of differing strategies outside the top 10. Everyone in the top 10, of course, starting on the supers. Jacko on the softs, as well as Daziek and Philip. There on the softs, Fernandez, Pro Opa, who actually didn't get off the line in the end. So Fernandez, Crazy Flying Rob, Morris Minor going for the aggressive super soft strategy, and Crumpet, Baza and Jack Gooding are on the mediums. They'll go, very long into this race and should be able to put on a set of supers, and they'll be flying come the end of the session. A lot of disqualifications already on formation lap. Sadly for Pro, but he lagged there. That's a shame for him. Starting 12th there. Having obviously retired as well, so he could have shown a lot more pace, I think, if he had kept himself out of the wall. But sadly, he could not. And now, unfortunately, he is lagged out as well. So his teammate, Sir Lane, looking in a good spot at the top. Question is, though, who pits when? And how long can these supers last? And who can get them to last the longest or get the best out of them before they do fall off? Because they will fall off eventually. But there is no runner on the softs to take advantage when they do, at least in the top 10. So a lot of similar strategies here today at Monza. Turn 1 could be absolute carnage here, and I'm half expecting it, to be honest. So, because it closes very, very quickly. The dive is inviting here at Monza, but of course, given this how the second corner opens as well, it has the potential to be absolutely disastrous, and I'm sure we'll see a few incidents. But let's find out. Morris Minor will be the last to take his place on the grid here, and Sir Lane waiting patiently at the front. Here we go then. 27 laps around the Temple of Speed, and the lights ignite, and away we go. That looks like a decent start for Danskar. Better start for his teammate as they make their way down towards turn 1. And has had an absolutely flying start down the inside. Oh, there's been contact. Someone's been extremely late on the brakes, but they all seem to get through okay. There's a car off the track. There's Jacko, and they all seem to get through somewhat okay. And a bit of just jostling for position in between. There's Bill, there's Philip. He's right behind, and Phil goes down the inside of Bill towards the chicane. Bill will have the inside for the next corner and gets that move back on Philip. So Bill retaking 6th place here at it is Sir Lane ahead of Ant. A great start for Ant. He's jumped both McLarens. Plays Danskar, Apex, Bill, Philip, Khalifa. It's got by Howitzer. Baza is there as well. A bit of contact behind us. Alex and Jacko. And Alex's no front wing was he who possibly made contact at the beginning. Bill go down the inside. Apex trying to fight it. And actually Bill just drives around the outside into Ascari. Great move by Bill. He moves up into 5th place. So it looked like he was defending that position. He's got it back, but Apex not giving this one up yet. I think there's an accident down behind. I think there's Alex. Out of Ascari, we'll stick with this one though for the time being. Very, very close. Bit of a wiggle for Apex as he exits turn, well, the last turn, Parabolica. And Jacko right behind Baza. Any early pitters we'll find out in a second. Baza's gone defensive. Jacko switches to the right hand side. Apex and Bill going at it as well. Oh, and Apex missed the first chicane entirely. And we got Plays looking to attack Ant now as well. Ant goes defensive. And slipping through is Plays. Great move from him. There's Philip and Bill as well. Oh, a bit of contact, and they're both sent round, and that will allow Khalifa to nip through. So the opportunist there, Khalifa, sneaking through after the contact from Philip. And hustling and harrying. I don't know where to look at this stage. You got the Red Bull and the sandwich here, and will he go for the move? Will Ant on Plays down towards Ascari? Oh, he's going to go for it. Bit of a lock on the brakes, and he's not able to get that move done. Meanwhile, Philip down the inside of Khalifa. Oh, there's been a bit of contact and there's been damage, and that has damaged to Khalifa, I believe. Meanwhile, we'll go on board with Danskar, who just backs out of this one, looking at the two in front from Ant and Plays. This is allowing Sir Lane to just drive away at the front. 2 seconds as the guys get by Khalifa with that damage. So here we go then. Danskar looks like he's got the much better run than Ant out of Parabolica. Oh, it's going to be so close, and they're getting in the slipstream of Plays as well. Ant trying to take this one back. The outside becomes the inside for Danskar, and looks like he's going to keep it. There's position changes absolutely flying everywhere. Khalifa still fighting on despite the damage, the possible damage. Meanwhile, behind him, absolute chaos. There's Apex, there's Howitzer, there's Bill, there's Jacko. It's absolute carnage, and Danskar and Ant, I don't know where to look. And Ant is going for the move again. He's got by again on Danskar. Khalifa going toe to toe again with Philip. He's got by this time though. A difficult run out of that chicane for Khalifa. We leave him into the clutches of Apex, not on this one. A lot of people into the pits. There's Jack Gooding into the pits, Mr. Crumpet in the pits, I think, as well. Alex, Philip, Proba, they've all, Proba's out rather. Those ones down below, they've all made stops. So trying to get caught up on that as well. DRS activated, of course. And Jacko looking to get a move done on Bill. Has he got damage? Bill does have damage to the right hand side. Misses his breaking point completely. And Howard's struggling as well. Jacko's got to be so careful. And Ant going for the move on Plays. He's going to go around the outside. Can he get it done? 2 McLarens, 1 lap. No. not on this occasion. But he's going to have DRS, and he's used so much of his ERS already. There's a bit of weaving going on, but Ant, he's going to have the racing line. Look at that carnage back there. We'll try and pick it up in a sec. Oh, there's been a little bit of contact between Ant and Plays. This is a bit messy, and that's going to leave Plays in a difficult position against his teammate. Got someone missing the chicane there, I think it was. Khalifa's got that place back on Philip. So a lot of change early on here in the Italian Grand Prix, lap 4 of 27. This is great stuff. And Ant still ahead. Bill and Jacko going side by side. Of course, we know Bill has got that damage. And an easy move in the end for Jacko, is it? Should be. And he gets that move done. Jacko up into 8th then on the softs. So interesting rise from him. A great start from Morris Minor as well, up to 11th place already from the back of the grid. Behind Howitzer, who was visibly struggling, and is going to give Morris a great opportunity as well. There's some commotion going on up here. There's Philip trying to defend from Apex. He looks like he's done so. Bill and Jacko still going at it. Oh, there's been contact behind, and Morris Minor is out. He came in contact with Howitzer as they headed towards the Ascari chicane, and our first retirement of the day in the race. And unfortunately it is Morris Minor, so I may have jinxed him slightly. Meanwhile, this battle's still going on between Philip and Apex. And who's going to have the DRS? I think it might be Philip who's got the DRS, has he? Pull over to the left hand side is Apex, but Philip does have DRS, and that's just allowing him to drag himself just that little bit ahead of Apex. Snatches a break, but looks like he's continued to get that one done. Jacko and Bill side by side. Good space left between the two of them, to be fair. And Bill moves ahead, so he's taking that place back from Jacko and moves up into 8th place then. Is there a chance for Jacko to immediately respond? No. So you have to tuck back in there. So I think we've settled down somewhat, have we? So Danskar still behind his teammate at the moment, and Ant just pulling out a bit of a gap on these two. And then for 4 seconds up the road is Sir Lane. There have been a lot of penalties coming in. It's been hard to keep track with along with the action as well. So when things settle down a bit, I think we can have a look. But a difficult exit for Plays out of Ascari. Going to give his teammate a good run, surely, heading down towards Parabolica. How do the teammates want to play this? And I think Plays let him go, and Danskar moves up into 3rd. But of course his teammate will have DRS, though I think he is actually saving ERS at the moment. So he's let them go, and now we can look Danskar to get closer to the back of that Red Bull that has just pulled out a bit of a gap. I think Howitzer's had it off somewhere. Just getting back up to speed. Crumpet, Alex have just moved ahead of him. Meanwhile, Philip has a battle's now over between him and Apex. He's caught back up to the back of the Soul Force India of Khalifa and heading down towards the 2nd chicane. Nothing doing, but he has been catching steadily. Yellow flag in sector 3. What could have gone on here? Oh, it's Philip. He's had it off somewhere. He's damaged the right hand side of that wing, and he is in last place already. They have to make a stop surely to get that replaced. Whew, I think we can finally calm down a bit. Some good racing there, some little sloppy racing at times as well, but a lot of change has been happening, and more change is continuing to happen as Fernandez and Daziek. Fernandez getting by on the super softs. So it's now spread out just a bit now between the top 5. A second covering Danskar and Ant, and the gap, it looks like it has come down a bit at the front. It is 3.6 seconds between Ant and Sir Lane. But here we go then. Philip dipping into the toe. He's got the DRS. He's a long way back. Will he go for a late lunge? He's closing and closing and closing. Khalifa has gone too late defensively to really prevent that. A snatch the break, but looks like Philip is through, and I don't think Khalifa will be able to respond to that one. So try and recover here somewhat. Lap 7 of 27, getting close to the round of pit stops for the guys on the super softs. But we've got a lot of people pit already. Baza, Crumpet, Alex, Howitzer, Jack, Gooding and Philip have already made stops, 2 in the case of Philip. So we've got a number of people made stops already. We'll try go to the end of the race, but it's going to be difficult. Some people committing to the 2-stop, like Jack Gooding in 17th there on the softs. Meanwhile, at the front, Plays just got back within DRS range. Oh, and he's hit the wall, just as we're saying. Oh, and he's made contact with the wall, and now missing part of that front wing. Philip and Khalifa will surely nip by. There goes Philip, and Khalifa, if Plays doesn't pit, will surely go for it. We'll get by him as well. Will he make the stop though? And Khalifa just drives around the outside of him. And will that McLaren come in? He will. We've seen a lot of people speed into the pit lane already. Plays isn't one of them, but this not the way he would have wanted to end his first stint with wing damage. To be honest, he's lucky not to have lost a wheel. Let's be honest, he could have been a lot worse off than he is. And a beautiful glitch there. So we'll just move on to, where is Danskar? Danskar's 1 second. It's the gap, was the gap between himself and Ant, now 0.8 of a second. So closing in on that Red Bull. This would be a great result for Ant. He would be gaining points on his championship rival. Yellow flag at sector 1. Oh, there's a car off. That is just Philip, I believe, a lap down, possibly just getting out of the way. Meanwhile, Daziek and Fernandez, it was under a second, that gap. It's just crept out a bit more as Daziek getting onto the gravel somewhat, heading out of that second chicane. And it's just dropped a little bit back as a result. Danskar again, same thing. He's just dropped back a bit on this lap, has gone out of DRS range. He's hovering around it. I think he's just going to be outside. There's the activation zone. And he's just out of it on this occasion. Khalifa again, same thing, just out of DRS range as he gets to the activation point. And we got Apex diving into the pits then. So I think this is the first scheduled stop on the super softs. Apex going, well, he's not really going for an undercut, he's 6 seconds behind. And Bill coming in as well. Will Bill replace that wing? So medium tyres and going on to Apex. Plays pitching onto a set of ultras, which is a set of supers. Interesting choice, committing to the 2-stop. I think the mediums would have gone to the end from lap 7 or 8. Out comes Bill, new nose cone on that Haas, and he will emerge. Ooh, he's going to emerge behind Baza, but he should be ahead of Crumpet. So Bill then emerging into 13th place, and now the guys closer to the front will be beginning to think of stops themselves. This is lap 9. Undercuts to some degree have been triggered. If you don't respond to it the first lap or two, you could be in trouble indeed. So then Sir Lane rounds Parabolica. Will he dive into the pit? It looks like it. He does. The race leader is in, and I'd imagine the rest will surely follow. There goes Ant, who will speed into the pits. Danskar is in. Philip, they're all coming in. Oh, very hot under the collar. It was Khalifa, but it did slow down in time. It did make up a lot of ground on Philip there heading into the pits. So he timed that very well. Philip a bit tentative, and nose change, as alluded to earlier, coming for Khalifa. A 5-second stop go being served here for Philip. Supposed to gain an advantage somewhere. So Sir Lane is out, Ant out, Danskar out on the mediums, Philip as well. Fernandez carrying on, of course Jacko as well, carrying on those softs. So it looks like Rob and Daziek, and Rob making a move but not making it stick. And we'll have to give that place back to Daziek. And does so. So absolute cluster of cars. There's Daziek yet to make a stop. Rob yet to make a stop. Plays, drives around his outside. He's made a stop onto these supers. Apex, Philip, Khalifa, they've all just made stops onto mediums, and there's traffic for them to negotiate. And they're right in the middle of it. These guys have not made stops yet. Plays has, of course, but he won't be stopping for another little spell yet. But Daziek and Rob, who these guys have to dispatch now, and surely to be the first one now for Plays. should make this move fairly rudimentary. Daziak fighting it though. A little bit of movement across the track there, more than one for sure. Down the inside goes Plays, has to get that move done, does. And Apex has to be careful not to run into the back of these guys struggling through Ascari. And looks like he will negotiate Rob. Although he's taking his foot off the throttle somewhat. Perhaps wants DRS heading down the main straight. Fernandez, I think, has gone on for another lap as Daziak dives into the pits. Fernandez actually has just come in now. And they will both blast by, as will Apex will surely blast by Rob down the inside. Heading into turn 1. Late braking, and Rob, will he make the corner? So Apex losing a lot of time here behind Rob, and he's got to be so careful not to run into the back of him. Oh, it's going to end in tears, surely. This is going to end in tears for someone. As he finally got the move done, I believe he has. And Philip is out of the race, and the virtual safety car has been deployed. Is there anyone close to the pit stops who could take advantage of such a situation? No, the closest is Alex, and he's a long way back on fresh supers. Not sure what happened to him. So unfortunately, this virtual safety car benefits no one really, at least in terms of strategy. Of course, pit stops have all just been made, and the safety car should be, the VSC should be ending now in a second. And Rob getting a lot of time there on Apex. We wait for the moment. Will Jacko get to the pits before this VSC ends? He is coming in. When will we be racing again? Because depending how long this VSC lasts, and there it is, it's go. So if that was half a lap earlier for or half a lap later for Jacko, that would have been a very interesting VSC indeed. But where will Jacko emerge? As Rob pits as well. So Jacko should emerge in 7th place. Will he be ahead of Baza? Oh, here he is. I think Baza will get him just on speed. So Jacko will come out between Baza and Bill. So Jacko then slipping into P8. So again, not a whole lot of difference on the supers compared to the softs. But the thing that Jacko will have to remember is that Baza is on 9-lap-old mediums. Rob into the pits, and he just pops out ahead of Jack Gooding in 12th place. Not bad running for Rob so far. Things fall apart for others in front. There's a chance of some points. And Bill harrying Jacko. I think Bill on balance is probably a bit quicker than the Scuderia, and gets a much better exit out of the second Lesmo. And with DRS will just outdrag that Ferrari, and there you go, then away goes Bill. So Bill then moves up into P9. Jack moves by Rob into P12. Of course, Jack on the softs will have to pit again, and Rob struggling there for grip on exit. Meanwhile, at the front here on the supers, Plays gets by Dan's car. I think he just lets him go. He does. You can see the throttle modulation there, and lifting off the throttle was Dan's car. And now Plays moves ahead, but is on supers. We'll have to make a second stop. There's a car off the track. I believe it is a back marker. It is Fernandez. So interesting to see how this strategy will work, as Bill and Jacko again exchanging blows. And Bill keeping that P8 for now. Of course, Jacko, as we know, just pitted from softs. But interesting to see how this strategy goes for Plays, because he's the only one really doing the scheduled 2-stop really, that's in kind of the top 5. So see how it works for him. He's got a few laps yet to push on those supers, but I don't know if he's made the most of it. Getting caught in traffic did not help him. Let's see. He's already pulled out close to 2 seconds on his teammate, so see how he gets on with another 5 or so laps to go on that stint. Lap 13 of 27. This race is flying by. Almost just over halfway distance as Sir Lane crosses the line to begin lap 14. And that wasn't the best exit for Bill heading out of Ascari. And well, it won't bring Jacko by, but it'll certainly bring him close enough to where DRS now will surely be in a good spot for Jacko now, heading down the main straight. He's not running particularly well on ERS this lap, and that is affecting his straight line speed somewhat, but he's reeling in that Haas, but not by enough, it seems, to make a move into turn 1. So a difficult exit out of Ascari for Bill. He has survived that at least, and is keeping P8. Meanwhile, Khalifa and Apex closing on track 8/10. The gap between that Force India and that Mercedes. That's a bit of a corner cut there. Carefully navigating their way. Oh, that's very sloppy stuff there from Bill and Jacko. I thought there was going to be contact there for a second. Yellow flag in sector 2, not sure what that is, but it's away now. And Jacko still trying to chase down that Haas. They are 2 seconds behind Baza, who is going to have a tough task to get those mediums to the end. I don't think he'll be able to do it. Ooh, very, very wide exit for Apex, and he's bringing Khalifa closer and closer to him with each little mistake. As he rounds Parabolica, just gets in a bit wrong and loses out a little bit of time there, and he's just dropped out of the 1 second range. He does have DRS though, so he can help close up that gap somewhat. Meanwhile, look at a much better run now for Jacko out of Parabolica. He'll have DRS on Bill. And how will they navigate this one? Jacko pulls over to the right hand side. Bill does not fight it. And down the inside goes Jacko on Bill. How is Jacko's exit out of the chicane? Not bad, but Bill's is just better, much better. And he's going to drive around the outside through the Curva Grande as Howitzer comes into the pits. And he's just driven clean around that Ferrari, around the Curva Grande. Beautiful move from Bill. And he's back into 8th place, ahead of Jacko, and his teammate Crumpet is behind this battle, but he's on 12 lap old softs, so he will have to pit again very, very soon, as will Jack Gooding there in 11th. At the front, meanwhile, the gap 4.3 seconds Sir Lane to Ant is kind of been consistent in that regards. This has been probably Ant's best drive, I think, for a while. I'll have a look at when his last best result was, but I think it has been a while, as Crumpet gets a 3-second penalty. One cut too many, and Plays dives into the pits a little earlier than I thought he would, to be fair, on those softs, on those supers rather. Meanwhile, Khalifa closing on Apex. Apex goes to the right hand side to defend this P4 around the outside. Can Khalifa get the move done? He's going to leave himself with a difficult exit of turn 2, but it looks like he's going to drag himself away from Apex, and Khalifa then moves up into 4th place. Can he keep it heading down towards the chicane? I think he will, and that is P4. So then Playson ends up in 10th place on fresh softs, with I think at least Crumpet and Baza yet to pit still. So it'll be interesting to see where Plays ends up on this alternate strategy. Jack Gooding into the pits to replace his tyres. Howitzer, as we know, just pitted just behind him. No sign of trouble yet for Sir Lane. Beautiful helicopter shot as they make their way through Parabolica. We'll stick with it. Absolutely beautiful stuff. And there's a car into the pits. That is Howitzer again, I believe. So he must have had damage somewhere along the way on that lap. Meanwhile, I've got a little bit of action here, as I think a mistake from Daziak allows Philip through into 11th place. And Plays already catching the back of Mr. Crumpet's 13 lap old softs. Those things will not be in good nick whatsoever. And he's just got to exercise caution as Plays. He'll have a much better line, and if Crumpet dives into the pits, there's a problem. But he doesn't, and Plays will make the simple move by, and Plays is up into 9th place, 4 seconds behind Jacko then for P8. In P7, meanwhile, Bill has left Jacko behind, and Jacko then, look at Bill looking to have a move on Baza, 14 lap old mediums, and he makes that move stick, and that is Bill into 6th place. Next up is Apex, he was 6 seconds behind his Bill on that other Mercedes. So he's got some work to do if he wants to get into the top 5, and I'm not sure if that's possible. But meanwhile, well, it'd be possible if there's an accident between Khalifa and Apex. Oh, difficult exit for Khalifa, and he's all over the place. Oh, unfortunately, Apex could not avoid it, and he's clattered his wing into the back of Khalifa, and that will certainly allow Bill the opportunity he needs to catch up now. Possibly a top 4 finish could be on for the Haas man now that Apex has got damage. Khalifa, I think, has escaped punishment on that one, and Apex does dive into the pits then, so didn't want to carry on any further with that wing damage. And now we'll replace that wing, and what will he put on? A set of soft, so a safe bet. Oh, and his teammate has got a queue behind him, so that's disastrously worked out for, or that's worked out disastrously, I should say, for the Mercedes team. Wouldn't say gang. So just the absolute wrong timing there for everyone involved in that incident, and now Mercedes will be lucky to score any points from here. Although I think Apex will emerge ahead of Daziexo in 10, so possibly a... oh, and Philip has had an off somewhere. How has he lost it there? That was Marcus Ericsson-like almost. Did he lose it in a straight line? There is no car there, I don't believe. That's a remarkable incident to have. He must have got on the grass somehow just as he was braking. That could be my only explanation for an incident like that. I've never seen an incident like that before in league racing, heading towards turn 1 to end up in the wrong direction like that. That's a very strange one indeed. Meanwhile, Plays is caught up to the back of Jacko, so making good ground is Plays on these softs and shaping up a move on his next victim, the leading Ferrari of Jacko. And surely with DRS assistance should be an easy move to make. Let's see how hard Jacko defends this one. Pulls over to the left hand side. Surely will he go for a late move? No. Plays. Well, the door was open, to be fair, and Jacko's gonna have a difficult exit. Oh, is that a bit of wing damage for Plays? I didn't see any piece skid off that McLaren, and if that is the case, Plays has definitely got away with one there as Krumpusch comes into the pits for Supers. Jacko thought he was going to fight that one again, but I think Plays has escaped punishment on that one. He's very lucky to do so because Jacko had a bad exit out of turn 2, and then just the way Plays was exiting turn 2 himself, could have easily ran into the well, he did run into the back of him, but he didn't sustain any damage by the looks of it, and can carry on 4.5 seconds the gap between himself and the Bill. The top 5 have really spread out. The gap at the front is 6 seconds from Sir Lane to Ant. Danskar 7.6 seconds behind Ant, and 8.6 behind that is Khalifa, and then 4.5 is Bill, and similar gap towards Plays, and then it gets very, very wide from Apex onwards, or from Jacko onwards, I should say, who is stuck within the DRS range of Plays and using a lot of his ERS, and he's going to close slightly on that McLaren in front, but not enough to make a move back into that P6. And it's just dropped off a bit there, heading out of turn 2, a poor exit, and he's dropped out of that DRS range. Meanwhile, Krumpusch on fresh supers, as is Baza, to be fair, although Krumpusch looks like he's having the better time of it as things stand. And he's going to get a beautiful overtake here, surely a beautiful slipstream I should say, and turn that into an overtake. Oh, he's being squeezed a little bit. The space opens up, and Baza, how will he try to go back through? How's the exit? It's a bit better for Baza, isn't it? Krumpusch holding the line as they sweep around the curve of Grande for the 21st time. Will he go for a move? No, backs out of it sensibly, backs out of it. Fighting for 11th place, although a poor exit for Krumpusch, and there you go, then Baza is through and he moves up into 11th place, and so a poor exit for Krumpusch out of that second chicane, And Baza then moves up into 11th, and he's got 5.9 seconds separating him and the final points paying position, which is Daziek. One of the few finishers, I believe, last time out in Belgium. We'll see if Krumpus can respond, because he is, again, these guys are on similar strategies, at least at this point of the race. And look at that, you can see how much ground that Krumput has gained out of Ascari. So I mean, that's what the difference between a good and bad Ascari is. And now surely, as I think Rob has got by Alex there, it's been a really, really poor race for Alex, but here we go then. Baza pulls over to the right hand side. I don't think that will be much defence for him, and tearing by comes the Scuderia. And how is his exit then? Into turn 1 and through turn 2. It's Baza with the poor exit, and that is Krumput safely. Look how much he's gained. Oh, it's a second clear already of the Mercedes, so there you go then. Oh, and Khalifa is smashed into Ascari, into the polystyrene. I don't believe he's got wing damage though somehow. If oh, there it is now. But he's got a long way between himself and, well, he had a long way between himself and Apex, but surely will have to pit now. That's an unfortunate incident for Khalifa. I don't believe there's anyone near him, and now has to limp back to the pits, and surely will have to change that wing. No, he's going to continue on. He's got 5 or so seconds between himself and Apex, and a lot more behind him is Daziek, and Krumput somewhere lost out to Philip, and Philip then moves up into 10th place, but Krumput looking to take that place back with fresher tyres. Oh, there's been an incident. He's I won't say he's desynced to me. He's made contact with his left rear wheel, and Baza then slips by, and that pushes Philip into the pits, and Krumput still side by side. Is that a back marker? I think that is a back marker. Is that Howitzer? It is, and Howitzer really does need to be getting involved in incidents like that with cars that are a lap ahead. No need for that. And meanwhile, look at that, much better exit, and much better exit for Plays. You see how wide Bill went, and that is Plays and up into 4th place. So he's almost made his positions back in a sense. I don't know if he would have finished ahead of Danskar had he continued on, and Bill's missing part of his front wing. That would be the reason why he's struggling as he is, and he's going to dive into the pits. Not sure if that was caused with contact with Plays, but he is coming into the pits, and that should elevate Khalifa, Apex, but he should be ahead of Daziek. Will Bill when this pit stop is done? We will see. We shall see. Where is he? Daziek then leading a trio of cars, including Baza and Krumput, as they exit the pits now. As they exit Parabolica, I should say. And there you're going to Bill just emerging ahead of this gang into 8th place. So not the race Bill would have wanted. Meanwhile, Baza and Krumpus have been catching Daziek, who was on older medium tyres, and surely once they close up to the back of this Williams and get within DRS range, there won't be much defence. Will it even take the DRS to get by, hustling and harrying that Williams through the first Lesmo? Although a poor run from Baza onto the grass puts him right into the clutches of Krumpus. So looking to defend, I think, more so than attack right now, will Baza, but he's got DRS on his side as well, luckily for him, and that should keep him ahead of Krumput for the time being. Let's see whose exit out of Ascari is the best, or the worst rather. A decent run, to be fair, for all of them, but I think with the tyre disadvantage, it's going to be tough for Daziek then to defend this one. Baza down the inside, moves into 9th place. And will Krumput slip through the inside? He does, and that is Daziek then, a space of 1 corner. He's lost 2 positions, but he will have the DRS. Can he fight back? We've got Crumpet looking for a move down the inside of Baza. Once again, these two have been fighting a lot in the second stint. When will it become one fight too many? Not right now appears to be the answer, but Crumpet's still behind Baza in ninth. There's a battle going on as well, I'm aware, between Apex and Khalifa. We know Khalifa has got damage, and he'll file in there. And with the DRS, surely a move for the McLaren. He'll take that position back. But Khalifa runs onto the grass a bit, making his life a little bit easier for Apex to get that move done. He slips in and takes P6 back. They've dropped Daziek quick enough, have Crumpet and Baza, but Baza's not dropped Crumpet just yet, still 7/10. The gap still within DRS range, and Bill is out, and I'd imagine there he is. He's lost to coming out of a scary lap 25 of 27. No real time for a safety car, so we won't be seeing one here today, it seems. It's just the VSC today at Monza, and that just caps off a very disappointing race for Bill. I want to know what's happened to Alex, because Alex isn't. I believe he's in third in the standings, in the championship standings, and has made 3 stops today. Just had an absolute mare, it seems. As much of a mare as I've had on commentary today, I can't pronounce anything today, so apologies. My words have been all mumbled up. Just been a rough day. Still fighting Crumpet and Baza. It's about the only battle on track at the moment. The rest of the field spread out just a bit now as things begin to wind down. Lap 26 of 27. A good run for Crumpet out of the second chicane. Can't get moved on around the first Lesmo. I see Baza struggling. How is the exit of the second Lesmo? DRS wide open. Yellow flags out for something. Not sure what incident that is. Oh, down the inside. Will he go for it? No, backs out of it. Cuts the corner slightly, and I think Crumpet does a wing damage. Not sure where he would have picked that up. But he is still fighting for 8th place. Penalties, a lot of penalties to be deciding of positions here. I think we'll find out what it all means as Sirlane rounding Ascari for the second to last time. As Baza begins lap 26, his fierce defence against Crumpet still ongoing, and he's done well, to be fair, despite everything, to keep that position ahead of Crumpet. Oh, but that defence might be coming to an end. He got onto the gravel, and luckily Crumpet didn't hit him. Oh, there's been contact there though. Somehow they're still on the track with all 4 wheels. I feel like that should have ended in contact into the wall for one of them, if not both of them, but they're still going. And Baza not giving up on this one yet. The final lap has begun for Sirlane as he rounds Curva Grande for one last time. So we'll keep an eye on him as he comes to surely pick up the full 25 points after a fantastic performance. But we'll stick with Baza and Crumpet for the time being. There's one more lap to go for these guys after this. And that's Crumpet still holding the position after that mistake. That's a beautiful little graphical glitch. I don't know if you saw it. I think that's Sirlane rounding Ascari. There he is. Look at that barrier. It's been a brilliant race for Sirlane. He's had the pace. No one's had the answer, and he's going to pick up a glorious 25 points at this sunny Monza, rounding Parabolica one last time. He crosses the line. Sirlane wins the Italian Grand Prix by an absolute landslide. 16 seconds is his gap to Ant. Ant, though, I think will be very satisfied with this performance. I think this is the best result for Ant for a while. And he's going to come across and finish in second place. Danskar then will finish third. His teammate Plays rounds the final corner and picks up 4th place. The 2-stop didn't really work out, but there you go then. That is Ant's best place Yeah, it's his best finish since I believe he won the Monaco Grand Prix. He had 2 third places in France and Austria, but hasn't finished on the podium since, and he's back there now. Jacko finishes 5th, Apex in 6th, Khalifa, despite his damage, will finish in 7th place, and he's happy enough with that result. Lapped cars, Philip, Rob, Alex, Fernandez, they've all finished the race now. Crumpet finishes in 8th, but on penalties, a lot of penalties for that matter. Baza has the last lap, and Daziak does finish in 9th place actually. Crumpet's penalties relegating him all the way out of the points as Jack Gooding picks up the last points paying position. So look at that, he finished 8th. How many penalties did he have? I'm interested to find out. I'm looking forward to seeing the race director as well. So then, a brilliant result for Sir Lane. Convincing win at the Italian Grand Prix. Hoists that trophy on what many consider to be the best podium in F1, overlooking the main straight and the Tifosi. Interesting race in the end, I have to say. I thought there was a lot of battles going on throughout, so that race did fly by. So I did stumble a bit, so I can only apologise for that. If you watch the stream, thank you very much for watching. We appreciate that. It is Sir Lane winning ahead of Ant in 2nd, Danskar in 3rd, so a few points gained for Ant in the championship. Plays in 4th, Jacko 5th, Apex 6th, Khalifa 7th, Bata 8th, Daziek 9th, Jack Gooding in 10th. Good result for Jack at starting from the back and on the 2-stop. 12 seconds worth of penalties in the end for Crumpet. Philip 12th, Rob 13th, Alex absolute mare for him in 14th with 3 stops. Howitzer 15th, Fernandez 16th, and then we lost Bill, Philip and Morris. Just 3 retirements out of the 20 drivers that started. So I'll get a look at this, the warnings here in all their glory. So there you go then. That's going to do it for round number 14 of ILR6 from the Italian Grand Prix. Next up, you can check out ILRs 3 and 4 as they tackle the same beast at Monza. So I hope you enjoy those races. So from ILR6, it is Sir Lane winning convincingly ahead of ahead of Ant and ahead of Danskar, with Ant gaining a few points back in the championship run. Until next time.